A fighter jet recently appeared in China, and it looked like something straight out of science fiction. At the 2024 Zhuhai Air Show, an unexpected arrival stunned the crowd, a jet so futuristic it seemed to come from another world. Gleaming white and motionless, it stood in an eerie silence, surrounded by mystery. But what exactly was it? It arrived without fanfare. No grand announcements, no dramatic countdowns, no thunderous flyovers, just one strange gleaming aircraft resting under the harsh lights of the Zhuhai Air Show, silent and still, yet already speaking volumes. No one saw this coming, at least not like this. For years, China's aviation ambitions had lingered in the shadows, whispered about in defense circles, and hidden within classified reports. But on this day, the White Emperor didn't arrive as a mere rumor. It is a sixth-generation fighter jet that immediately escalated the rivalry between China and the other global power blocs. It was not clad in muted grays or blacks of Western stealth aircraft. This one wore white, as if daring the world to look closer. There was something imperial in its posture, something defiant in its stillness. The contours were impossibly precise, carved with intention rather than artistry. This was no idle concept or exhibition piece. It was a challenge cast in steel and silence. As crowds craned their necks and experts scrambled to decode what they were seeing, China offered no explanations. It did not issue a press release. It did not even host a Q&A. It simply left questions hanging in the air like a thundercloud. Prepared or not, the reckoning had arrived. So if you're wondering exactly what this jet is built to do, and more importantly, how it changes the world, you're exactly where you need to be. To understand why the appearance of the White Emperor has stunned the world, we must begin with China's earliest steps in military aviation, an era that's defined not by innovation, but by imitation. During the 1980s and 1990s, the Chinese Air Force was built on borrowed blueprints and rebranded upgrades. Its fleet consisted primarily of modified Soviet platforms and imported designs cloaked in national colors. The J-7 was virtually indistinguishable from the MiG-21. The first iterations of the J-10 borrowed heavily from Israeli Lavi concept and relied on Russian power plants. Even the J-11 and J-16 were largely based on the Sukhoi Flak family. These were capable aircraft, but they inspired little fear. They did not surprise anyone. Western analysts dismissed them as functional clones. Adaptable, yes, but not revolutionary. That perception began to shift with the emergence of the J-20, a true stealth fighter, conceived and constructed within China. With its angular design, internal weapon bays, and twin canard layout, the J-20 was more than a new aircraft. It was a warning. China was not simply catching up. It was learning, and learning fast. Then came the FC-31, a twin-engine stealth jet that hinted at carrier-based operations and further integration. Each development brought China closer to the front, making a shift from follower to leader. Now, with the arrival of the White Emperor, the transformation is complete. There is no longer a story of imitation. It is the story of a country that has taken control of the future. The first time you see the White Emperor, you realize you are looking at something that should not exist yet. The design feels simultaneously recognizable and alien. Its frame is composed of flowing lines that form a diamond delta wing. Angular chines run clearly along the fuselage, but there are no vertical stabilizers in sight. Every line, every surface screams stealth. But then, there's the color, and it immediately stands out. The jet isn't painted in the dark gray that American Raptors use, and it doesn't wear that flat black you'd expect from aircraft built for night missions. It reflects the light, almost too perfectly, giving it an eerie, ghost-like presence that feels deliberate rather than dramatic. Even its name, Baidi, or White Emperor, carries weight. In Chinese mythology, Baidi is the god of metal and the ruler of the western sky, perfectly reflecting the jet's mission to dominate airspace with precise control. When you look closer, another detail raises questions. The cockpit has 2 seats, both covered by a single smooth canopy. That's not something you typically see on stealth aircraft. According to defense analysts, the layout might be modular, allowing the jet to switch between manned and unmanned roles. There is also growing speculation that it could serve as an airborne command unit, capable of directing autonomous drones in real time during combat. All of these point to a deeper purpose. The White Emperor wasn't just built to hide from radar. It might have been designed to hide from expectations altogether. It challenges the rules we've come to accept about what a fighter jet is supposed to be. And that makes it more than a machine. It makes it a warning. Where most fighters are built to dominate within Earth's atmosphere, the White Emperor appears designed to exceed it. Official descriptions from Zhuhai referred to the aircraft as an integrated airspace platform. That phrase is not a marketing language. It is a declaration of intent. At altitudes between 20 and 40 kilometers above sea level, conventional flight begins to encounter serious limitations. The atmosphere becomes significantly thinner, which reduces the effectiveness of jet propulsion systems. Control surfaces such as rudders and ailerons also become far less responsive due to the reduced air density. This zone marks a transitional layer of the atmosphere, where satellites may begin to orbit, but where traditional aircraft are not typically designed to operate. And yet, that may be exactly where the White Emperor is designed to operate. Such a profile suggests missions that extend far beyond air superiority. The aircraft could be used for satellite interception, high-altitude jamming, reconnaissance in near-space conditions, or even the deployment of micro-payloads into orbit. If it proves capable of sustained operation in this rarefied band of the atmosphere, it will introduce an entirely new form of warfare, a domain that bridges the stratosphere with the stars. The presence of reinforced landing gear and a recessed undercarriage suggests that the aircraft may not rely on traditional runways for takeoff and landing. Its design appears to support launch mechanisms that could enable hypersonic flight, making extremely high speeds possible. This opens the door for rapid short-distance takeoffs, dramatic boosts into the upper atmosphere, and near-silent re-entries from high altitudes. These features are not typical of current fighter jets. Instead, they are defining traits of a platform engineered not for today's battlefields, but for the conflicts that lie just beyond the visible horizon. While the world's attention remains fixed on the White Emperor, that sleek aircraft represents only one part of a much larger and more ambitious strategy. China is not placing its future in the hands of a single jet. Instead, it is quietly building a 6th-generation air fleet composed of 3 advanced fighter designs. Each aircraft has been tailored for a specific mission, yet all of them operate within a unified vision. Together, they reveal a nation that is no longer in the experimental phase. It is executing a plan. The first jet in this trio is the J-36. It features a sharp, triangular frame with no vertical stabilizers, allowing it to avoid radar detection with astonishing effectiveness. Its shape draws comparison to the YF-23, an American prototype that once competed with the F-22 Raptor. But just so you know, the J-36 is not a replica. It is larger, more heavily armed, and reportedly capable of controlling autonomous drone swarms from the sky. Military analysts believe it could serve as a next-generation air dominance platform, coordinating artificial intelligence-driven wingmen in contested battle spaces. The second aircraft is the J-50. The aircraft is more compact and sharply built than its counterparts, clearly intended for deployment at sea. It is powered by twin engines and makes use of thrust vectoring technology, which gives it extreme agility in confined or hostile airspace. Unlike the J-36, the J-50 has been designed with carrier operations in mind. It is expected to launch from China's new catapult-equipped aircraft carriers, execute high-speed, low-observable missions, and return without leaving a trace. If the White Emperor is China's ghost in the sky, then the J-50 is its surgical blade. These aircraft, along with the White Emperor, form what some analysts are calling China's 6th-generation triad. Each one operates in a different theater, whether that is high altitude, land-based, or maritime. But all three are part of a highly integrated network. They do not just complement one another, they multiply one another's strengths. Together, they represent a fundamental shift in how China intends to provide power across air, sea, and space. Every generation of warplane reflects the tools used to create it. In the West, progress has often relied on brilliant engineers, countless wind tunnel tests, and years of refinement. China has taken a different path, one shaped by artificial intelligence. At the center of this evolution is DeepSeek, a design system developed by AVIC. Unlike traditional software, DeepSeek does not just support the process, it leads it. It can generate, test, and refine concepts at speeds that leave human teams behind. The system is not simply crunching numbers. It is forecasting future battles and shaping aircraft to win them before the first shot is fired. Where research and development once took years, DeepSeek works in hours. It learns continuously, it never pauses, and almost importantly, it links everything together. A stress test on the J-50 helps refine the White Emperor's structure. A radar tweak on the J-36 enhances the sensor package across the fleet. What benefits one, benefits all. Behind these aircraft is more than just an engineering team. There is a learning engine, one that simulates millions of scenarios, reads data in real time, and updates designs with surgical precision. Not everyone is convinced. Some believe the White Emperor at Zhuhai is just a show, a static display for headlines. But in military aviation, doubt is often a deliberate tactic, one that leaves adversaries guessing and adds to the jet's power. Mystery itself is a form of power. The less that is said, the more adversaries are forced to guess. And in this arena, China has become a master of ambiguity. Satellite imagery has since captured what appears to be the White Emperor, or at least an aircraft bearing its distinctive silhouette, being towed across a secured runway at a classified site in the Gansu province. Supporting vehicles were present, heat signatures were recorded, pop-up hangars emerged and disappeared in quick succession. It all followed a familiar playbook, one China used before and during the early development of the J-20 stealth fighter. The question is no longer whether the White Emperor is real. The real question is how real it has already become. In defense manufacturing, what begins as a static mock-up can evolve into a fully operational prototype within months. And when the prototype comes from the fastest-moving aerospace program in the world, the stakes rise dramatically. Silence, in this context, speaks louder than any official statement. In June 2025, reconnaissance satellites recorded an angular white aircraft positioned on an isolated airstrip in Gansu. The object appeared artificial and deliberate, its form strikingly similar to the jet seen in Zhuhai. Ground crews were observed towing it across the tarmac. Thermal imaging revealed bursts of heat, suggesting early-stage engine testing. Within days, the site was cleared again, leaving only faint outlines on the concrete and more questions than answers. China offered no confirmation, but no denial either. And in a military culture that thrives on secrecy, that absence may not be the clearest signal of all. Perhaps the White Emperor has not flown yet, or perhaps it already has, far from the public view. It may have failed, it may have succeeded, or it may be waiting for the moment not just to take flight, but to redefine what flight is even meant to be. Time is one thing no superpower can manufacture, but China is using it better than anyone right now. While headlines in Washington focus on procurement delays and debates over the next generation of fighter programs, China is field testing designs, scaling production, and deploying assets faster than its rivals can respond. By 2026, the J-36 could be flying full mission profiles. The J-50 might be taking off from the decks of China's newest aircraft carriers. And the White Emperor? It may already be flying missions we won't see or even hear about for years. If these timelines hold, China's sixth-generation force could be fully functional before many Western designs can leave the prototype stage. This is more than a race. If it's a sprint, China started before anyone else knew that the gun had gone off. China isn't wasting time. The J-36 could be flying operational tests by 2026. The J-50 might touch carrier decks by 2027. And whispers suggest the White Emperor will undergo high-altitude trials within the next 2 years. By 2028, the Triad could be airborne, one managing drones over the Himalayas, another stalking carriers in the South China Sea, and the White Emperor hovering over the edge of space. And while the West debates budgets, delays, and joint development headaches, China is moving quietly and rapidly. Because once the race begins in earnest, it's not always the fastest who wins. Sometimes, the one who was already running before the others noticed. In warfare, victory doesn't always come from combat. Sometimes it comes from anticipation. And in that sense, the White Emperor has already won. It has shifted the global conversation. The question is no longer, what can China copy? But what has China already built? Western militaries are now adjusting their plans, not just for what this jet is, but for what it could become. Whether it has flown or not, the idea of the White Emperor is already shaping decisions from Washington to Canberra. It doesn't need to fire a shot to make an impact. Its existence alone has changed the equation. And if this sixth-generation fleet takes to the skies, intelligent, modular, and built for the edge of space, American air dominance may not end with a fight. It may end with a silent pass of a white ghost overhead. The skies are changing faster than ever. Follow Project Aerospace to keep up with the latest in defense and aviation. The next breakthrough is already on the radar.